So, Elushika, you talked a little bit about your personal interest in your topic area, and I'm curious for the two of you how you decided to work on a topic that is really about mitigating risk, something that we don't necessarily want to talk about every day. Bowen, maybe we'll have you kick us off.
Yeah, sure. The reason why I want to explore this topic, first I want to say I truly believe the fully autonomous vehicle technology has a bright future. That's the reason the initial motivation for me, like I want to contribute to this topic and help people get ready to embrace this new technology. But just like I mentioned in the topic, like the AI system, deep learning, like if the AI system just doesn't making a life-changing decision for you, it's totally fine if it's not clear for you like why they make this decision and how they get this conclusion for you. But when they make a life decision for you, like life-changing decision for you, which is super important to you and consider like relate to your life, and I think those requires the trust and humans empathy. So that's a reason, like when we during the transitional period, and I think the first thing is to establish the humans' trust about this technology, so we can just smooth jump into this like new emerging technology.
Yeah, I think for me it's a similar situation where I'm not trying to say that AR is bad and AR in public space is bad, and in fact I'm really for it. I'm excited about the opportunity to use AR for all these different applications out in public space, and that's why I actually want to ensure. I hope that all these augmented reality applications are built with the users' considerations or concerns in mind, so that when it actually happens, the society won't just like reject it and like be over scared, in the same way that we saw with the Google Glass. And I've always been a big fan of cities. So everybody in my class knows that. And so, like for me, public space especially is where we can like start overlaying things to educate people, to get people more excited and understand the place's significance. One particular thing that got me thinking about these safety considerations was Pokemon Go. And so all the news that we saw around people getting into incidents, getting into like conflicts with other people who thought they might be taking their photographs. These were all things for me. These were all kind of like inspirations for me to start working on this.
And what you're talking about is a really complex set of interactions. And I'm curious to hear, how do you plan design principles to help sort of guide you through your project? So transparency, user orientation came up, but Elushika, maybe you could speak to that and sort of how you kept the project in scope and what was, I guess, what your true north was when it came to design principles.
I think my thesis advisor definitely helped me direct me a lot, because I had really broad ideas and that was so many, but he kept saying you have to pick one, you have to narrow it down, keep it simple, and that absolutely helped me to move forward and be very specific about my problem. So that definitely helped. And then while talking to people here and doing workshops with some at class and doing more workshops at Frog when I had the opportunity, that it helped me really validate and really scope my idea, narrow my idea down really well, and that helped me go forward very fast. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a similar thing that it came out through testing, and I would build something. I had an AR experience where you had a character just like running ahead of you, and everyone who looked at it said, "Oh my God, I'm just looking at the ground. This is so unsafe." And so whenever someone raised this consideration, and not just one, but two and three, you start realizing that it's something that you should apply to everything else that you're doing, and it could actually be a pretty good principle. So it's not like anything came out of my own thinking, but that other people reflected these principles to me.
One thing that all of these projects have in common is really thinking deeply about how we cohabitate with technology and with risk. And so I'm curious, how do you decide when to be very explicit, and how do you decide when to be very understated? So I'm thinking even about like the yellow glow that syncs up with the heartbeat, versus when you are very, very clear that someone is stepping into the road. And maybe we'll have you kick us off on sort of what was that decision making like for you, knowing that this is something that's deadly serious?
Yeah, I could start off answering the question. So I think that, I was definitely trying to balance the two aspects of, being something that's built in or native within the AR experience so that you don't detract from it too quickly or you like shock the user too suddenly. But also because it's safety, that it needs to be very, very important that it's clear. I think that's where the idea of a buffer zone, where there's time for users to like slow down to get the cues as they come appearing in front of them is pretty important. And because all the projects that we're representing have kind of an intelligence to them, we actually can spread these reactions or these responses, these patterns across a more like gradient, a gentler spectrum, instead of just showing like one modal or one pattern.
Which potentially feels like being screamed at all the time. I mean, that's not what you want to go for.
Okay, the entire process I built is based on like building the trust interaction for the human driver, and the entire process is along with to figure out what is a trust interaction and how to build that, and so like I mentioned, like the system, the AI system, like they used to like running by themselves, but as a human being, like it is hard for us to figure out why they're doing this and approaching this for us. So I think the information, like to better build the trust feeling for the human, and it is important, super important to expose those intentions, like initial idea, like why they're approaching this for us, like what they say is, and why they're doing this for us. So I think the intention communication is super important as approach to build this trust feeling for the human being.
Yeah, Eli brings up a great point. Oh, sorry. I noticed that also it's about the human or the user and making sure that they feel comfortable, especially it's in a dangerous situation. That's a great point.
One of the reasons I wanted to include that pink light, because one, it was supposed to, in one of my initial ideas, it was supposed to give light, literally show people light in the darkness, but that involved a lot of battery power that my prototype couldn't handle. So then having that illumination just to have an indication that this is on, and having that breathing pattern, hopefully people will know that you can breathe to it slowly. It's one of the reasons that I want to help people calm themselves. And then I chose that color because I didn't want to pink anything red, yellow, orange, because those are threat level colors, and magenta, pink was more of a kind of in that same realm, but more of a calmer tone to it. Yeah.
And one quick lightning round question. What is your hope for either your project and what you've introduced to the world, or for the project space in the immediate future?
For me, I definitely want to propose this to the New York City government, especially the Office of Emergency Management and NYC Design, kind of talk to them about it. Red Hook already knows about this, but they haven't seen my digital interaction part, and maybe they could incorporate that in the Red Hook Wi-Fi, because they already have the Wi-Fi working, but they don't have the proper interaction. So giving them that opportunity to maybe brainstorm ideas around that, and also give it back to the city, because this is a city project. Yeah.
Currently, like lots of car manufacturers and the tech company like trying to rush and push the autonomous vehicle technology and go to the market. So they are trying to just jump the step of the semi-autonomous vehicle and directly go to the fully autonomous vehicle. But I think this design strategy is a little bit dangerous. So that's the reason I think I'm really focusing on the transitional period and building the trust, building for the semi-autonomous vehicle operating system. So I think this is also a great opportunity. And personally, it's my personal point of view. So I think hopefully after the project, and I will trying to show or pitch or to like the car operating system, like platform startups or like the tech companies, and to show like, okay, maybe they should think about this, and like trying to focusing on like the transitional period, like help people and human driver to better trust this technology, and then we can just jump into like the fully autonomous vehicle age.
That idea of a phased approach is something that really came across, and I think that you're wise to pursue.
Yeah, for me, as I discussed in the presentation, I think that even though I just talked about the safety patterns in the most detail, this was actually a product of a year of thinking about how AR affects users around other people. And so I'd like for AR designers or designers beginning in this augmented reality this space to have that as a fixed part of the conversation and a necessary part of the conversation. So you can start off by saying, oh, what am I trying to create? But then it should be the next step to say, okay, so now that we've decided what we want to create, like how does that affect other people around that? And so far, I think because AR still, like the tools are not there yet, and so it's still pretty hard to build. Like, each of these explorations took a lot of time to build. And so I think that so far I've just been discussing with a few AR designers or developers, but in the future I'd like to keep trying to evangelizing this approach, and hopefully more people start talking about it in this way.
Well, it's a suite of very ambitious projects. Thank you for sharing them with us. Round of applause.
Thank you.